Hey there folks, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Now I kind of want to run through this a bit quickly, not because it's Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but because I've recorded this video a few times now and it's become frustrating. So with that being said, I want to get right into it and talk about, just get out of the way some of the things that a Halloween fan would dislike about this movie. You've got Michael seeing his mother in the white horse, you got Michael talking, Michael not wearing the mask, Dr. Loomis becoming a completely different version of his, completely just an asshole version of Dr. Loomis, Laurie Strode turning into a completely different character, and the whole hillbilly type atmosphere that this movie has that a lot of Rob Zombie's movies have. I understand all that, but I want to get that out of the way and keep the kind of positive energy that we've got going through these movies, these reviews I should say, and try to look at these a little bit more objectively and look at the more positives about these movies and see what we can enjoy. So getting all those things out of the way, I want to talk about some of the things that I really enjoy about Halloween 2 after finally watching it for myself this last time, watching it with fresh eyes and having my own opinions and my own interpretations while watching the movie. And I was actually pleasantly surprised to say that this most recent time that I've watched the movie, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, because it's been quite some time since I watched it and quite some time since I've been able to look at it with my own interpretation. So that being said, some of the things that I did like about the movie were the acting. I think Scout Taylor Compton did a great job in this movie. I think her scenes with her therapist and her scenes with specifically the scene where she yelled at Danielle Harris's character and their back and forth, Laurie and Annie's back and forth, I think they both did a fantastic job. Laurie's struggles in this movie are very, very believable in this movie. I think Scout Taylor Compton does a wonderful job in this, not just in Halloween 1, but specifically in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I think she holds this movie together. I think she's what lifts this movie up and makes it, at least made it enjoyable for myself. She does a fantastic job in this movie, hands down. Danielle Harris does a great job in this movie. Brad Dourif does a great job in this movie as Sheriff Brackett. Malcolm McDowell, even though he doesn't play a version of Dr. Loomis that I would prefer, he still does a great job in this movie. Tyler Mane is still a great Michael Myers in my opinion. The only thing that I don't like about his Michael Myers is that he's a little bit too big and the backstory based around his Michael, but he does a great job of having that balance of intimidation, but also that kind of silky smooth Michael that Nick Castle had. At least in my opinion, I think he has a great balance of this sort of intimidating, aggressive Michael, but also with that that smooth, liquid walk. You know, I think he does a great job. So the acting in these movies, Rob Zombie definitely knows how to pick them. I think if not everybody in these movies does a great job, even though they kind of play the cookie cutter Rob Zombie character, if you will. I think everybody pulls it off. Everybody does a good job, and that's something I will say about Rob Zombie's movies, is they are able to keep me entertained and intrigued. Whether you think the characters are absolute assholes or you're rooting for the characters, Rob Zombie knows how to keep a movie entertaining, in my opinion. So I will say that. But the story of trauma that Rob Zombie is trying to get across in this movie, I think is, for the most part, pretty believable. One thing I really liked about this movie is actually experiencing and witnessing Laurie finding out that she is, in fact, Michael's brother. That's something we've never got to see before. In Halloween 2, 1981, we only seen Dr. Loomis be privileged to that knowledge, and Laurie didn't even find out. So in this movie, we get to see Laurie find that out. And again, Scout Taylor Compton does a great job in that movie. In those scenes where she finds out that she's Michael's sister, she absolutely loses her mind, and I love it. She does a great job. And I think the way that Rob Zombie tries to handle his version of trauma in this movie is very intriguing. It's very interesting, and seeing how Laurie's kind of become this complete 180 in a character. Now, it's not something I would like to see Laurie do, admittedly, but since they did it, and watching how he's tried to pull this off, I liked it. I thought they did a good job. I think it's very believable in seeing how she's just become this destructive, outlashing person. She's absolutely awful to be around. She outlashes at her friends and her family, and she just turns into this pathetic character that you can't really root for. It's hard to root for her because you know what she was, and now she's just turning into this absolutely just obnoxious human being. And I think that's really what Rob Zombie was trying to pull off, and just show how much terror and trauma that Michael inflicted on her, and just how much she's dealt with it, or not lack of dealing with it, how much she's just been affected by it. And also you kind of see that with Danielle Harris's Annie a little bit. You see her kind of being affected in a certain way, where she's kind of changed. Her character is kind of different, where she's kind of trying to turn into this motherly figure, and she's trying to baby Laurie, but also at the same time she's like trying to be she's trying to like boss around her father, and she's talking to the officers and telling her how she's the boss of the sheriff and this and that, and she's trying to tell him what he can and can't eat and things like this. She's kind of turned into this very controlling, motherly like character. It's very strange. And seeing the way that Dr. Loomis has been affected by fame and greed, almost. You kind of see that sprinkled in through Halloween 1, where he starts to sell his book, Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, but in this movie he's kind of become a little bit more well-known, and he's on TV and this and that, and he's got book signing events and all this sort of stuff, where he's talking to press and things, where you kind of see how fame and greed has affected him. It's still an interesting story, I would say, even though Rob Zombie did something with the characters that I wouldn't particularly agree with. I think he at least did it well enough where it's intriguing and interesting for myself. So that's where my intrigue for this movie kind of comes from, is seeing what Rob Zombie really did with these characters. Now, I think he's changed Michael too much to where I can't really root for Michael anymore, even though you're not really supposed to, but he just doesn't feel like Michael in this movie. It doesn't feel like Michael Myers is in this movie. It doesn't feel like the Boogeyman is in this movie. It doesn't feel like The Shape is in this movie. But everybody else, he was able to do something where I can really kind of root for it and kind of accept what he's telling, very similar to Halloween Ends, where I've been able to really kind of accept the story that they're retelling and be like, you know, I'm on the journey with you guys. I'm watching what you're trying to do, and for the most part, I like it. And Rob Zombies 2, he goes so out there with it. And like I said, I have what I like. I have my Halloween 1978, and that's where I think it should be. That's where I think it should go, where it should stay. I'm very much in the vein of Halloween 1 only. If you're going to draw from that, if you're going to extend it, Halloween 2 and H2O. That's where I fall. Those three movies by themselves. But if you're going to extend it and you're going to do something different, make Michael more brutal, you're going to explain him, I think Rob Zombie did it in a way where I can enjoy it and respect it for the most part. And he keeps it interesting, like I said. He's able to keep it interesting and keep me intrigued. I know that I'm just a broken record at this point, but like I said, I've recorded this a few times now, and I'm trying to remember what I have said in this video compared to some of the other ones. But one thing that I do want to mention is the scene where Laurie is eating the pizza. Now, you see earlier in the movie where Laurie, she says no meat, and Sheriff Brackett, he actually did get meat on the pizza from what I can remember, but at the same moment, Laurie is eating this pizza and Michael is eating this dog, and she goes to throw up, and you can almost assume that the reason that she stopped eating meat is because every time she eats meat, she just tastes like this disgusting, raw, bloody flesh, and it's because Michael's been eating. That's what Michael's been eating. And you can almost assume that maybe he's been eating people too. You don't really know what he's been eating, but he's definitely been eating dog. And that's kind of where I drew from it. That's kind of what I interpreted, and that's what my interpretation was, is that Laurie has kind of stayed away from meat because she just tastes this disgusting raw flesh every time Michael eats dog, because they have this connection in this movie. They have this kind of psychological connection, very much in the vein of Halloween 5. However, I think it was done more interesting in this movie because of this scene than in Halloween 5. Halloween 5, it was really only used to find Michael. Dr. Loomis tried to ask Jamie, you know, where's Michael? Where's Michael? And they used her connection to try to track Michael. You know, the cookie woman, you know, that sort of thing. So I think Halloween 2 did a little bit better. Kept it interesting, kept it kind of gross and nasty, and I like that. And the only thing I will say I don't like about their connection is I like the idea of Michael seeing, well, I don't like the idea of Michael seeing his mother, because it makes him seem like a mama's boy. It makes him seem like Jason. I'm just kidding, I like Jason for the most part, but it makes him seem like this mama's boy, and he's just following, he sees himself as a kid, and then he sees his mother, and he's following that. It's like, okay, I get what you're going for, and I kind of like the idea of Michael seeing something. That's his kind of his motivation in this movie. Okay, sure, he's trying to put his family back together and this and that, but like, why does Laurie see the same thing? Shouldn't that be like unique to Michael? Why does Laurie see that same thing? So that's a bit strange. And Dr. Loomis doesn't see it, but Laurie sees the same thing as Michael. I think that's very strange. It doesn't really, I think that's a little too out there. And again, I'm not a fan of Michael talking and this and that, but overall, largely the story that Rob Zombie was trying to tell, I can root for it, and I apologize for kind of sounding like a broken record in this video, but overall I did enjoy it because I've kind of been able to separate myself from what I like and just kind of enjoy these movies for what they are. I've been able to do that for the most part. I'm very intrigued to see, or very interested to see how I react to Resurrection, because I haven't watched Resurrection by itself since 2018. And I think that was the second time that I watched the movie. I've heard a lot about Resurrection just by watching the videos that I watched, so I'm very aware of what the story is, and I have watched Cole Edit's version of Halloween Homecoming, which is a recut of Resurrection, which, if you haven't watched that, go check it out. I don't know if he has a website, but I'm pretty sure it's been taken off of YouTube, so if you want to watch that, you're going to have to go through other means to watch it. But Cole Edit's Halloween Homecoming, definitely go check that out, as well as his Halloween Rob Zombie cut and his Rob Zombie Halloween 2 cut as well. Check all three of those out. They're pretty damn good. But like I said, I've been able to I've been able to separate myself from what I want to see and then what they're doing. So I've been able to accept all these Halloween movies a little bit differently and enjoy them for what they are. Because like I said, there's no way you're going to get another Halloween 1978. That movie is a lightning in a bottle, and today's audience just won't want to see that. They won't want to see a Michael not doing anything for half of the movie, if not more, and just watching the there, not there, the lack of blood, guts, and gore. People don't want to see that. So I've come to understand that, and I've come to be able to appreciate these movies for what they are and the stories that they're trying to tell. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what your favorite Halloween timeline is. Let me know what your favorite Halloween movie is, what you think about this movie, because I'm sure most people will be kind of negative about it. I'd like to see something a little bit more interesting than just hating on the movie for what it is. But other than that, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. And of course, until next time, true believers.